Hi everyone, this is Ruby Blow of Development Counts. I really wanted to go live from my business page, but all of a sudden Facebook has made yet more adjustments. So here I am on my personal page. So this is a message for colleagues, but of course many others can benefit, so you're welcome to listen in. But today I'm talking about responsibility versus blame. As a therapist, as a counselor, as someone who trains other therapists, I'm often consulting on cases regarding children. And in almost every circumstance that's presented to me, a child is being blamed for something that adults are responsible for. And it's very anti-therapeutic for children. And so I want to talk about how to not fall into that trap if you are a clinician who is serving kids, making sure that you actually consider not just what's being shown to you, what's being told to you, but also what you observe and what you notice. Think about what the story is that's being created about that child, as opposed to whether or not it's actually just true on its face. In other words, for example, I had a situation where someone was telling me a story about a child who they wound up having to put in restraints. This is an incarcerated youth. And this child was like being dragged out of a room by a security officer. And the story was this kid was out of control, and then he became combative, and then he became suicidal. And I wanted to go back to, well, what did the adults do? And the whole thing got triggered by him being told one thing from one adult, come in and sit down. And then another thing from another adult, which was, get out of here. We're trying to clear out this room. And when he didn't comply with the being told to clear out, he was dragged out forcibly. Now, this is obviously a youth who's already in trouble, already has a trauma history, already has aggression. We do the same things with kids in foster care. They get placed into a home, presumably to protect them. And as soon as they feel safe enough to express their hurt, safe enough to act out, safe enough to test limits, then they're no longer wanted, or they so-called displace themselves from their housing. And what I'm challenging all of us as helping professionals, all of us who are serving children and advocating for children, that we really think about the whole picture and the context. We look at the picture and the frame and the house and the community and all the people involved in that child, with that child, that contribute, who are responsible for what is happening to that child. Right now, I'm waiting to hear about a child abuse neglect case that I don't want to go into the details about, but I'm like ringing the alarm bells, and the counselor supervisor is ringing the alarm bells, and we're waiting to see, are any of these other responsible adults going to get involved? And so what I really want to say to my fellow colleagues, those out there on the front lines, I did a shout out last week to school counselors who I think are doing so much on the front lines of protecting children. That is vital that when we see something, we do something, that we don't just take for granted that someone else will do it, that we don't so-called blame children for problem behavior. Children have learned behaviors. Some of them have these behaviors because of what they were born into in terms of drugs and alcohol, violence and abuse, neglect, being underfed or malnourished. All the things that help us learn to create safety and connection in the world have been, in some cases, taken from them. Some of them sexually assaulted at very young ages, or really at any age. It's horrific. And we need to stop divorcing ourselves from the magnitude of that trauma. When I hear a story about a kid being dragged out of the room by a security guard, and then we wonder why they are upset, what I'm asking is, what's happening to our helping professionals where we don't recognize the trigger was that the child got dragged out of the room, and not the trigger that they didn't know how to cope with the adults? We as adults and we in these systems have to do better. I know there are great people, some of them are watching this right now, who advocate for kids, and also educators who do great work with children. There are parents out there who are very intentional about their parenting. Maybe it's because it's December and people are thinking about how they can give gifts to their children. But I want you to think about your kids and all the kids that you come in contact with, and that we need to do more to protect them. We need to do more to stand up for them. Every child should be able to look back on their childhood and say, this person stood up for me. They saw the potential in me. And they tried to support me and they tried to help me, whether it's an abused child or a gifted child. Okay. So the topic is that for my blog this week is responsibility versus blame, looking at the whole picture. We are paid as helping professionals for our ability to think, not just to apply interventions. It's not just this behavior equals this action. We have to think about what's causing that behavior. Where is it coming from? Are we treating the right people? Are we correcting our sick systems that need in desperate need of repair? We need to stop blaming kids for the things that adults are doing and that society is doing. All right, so that's what I'm writing about in my blog post this week. If you don't get it, you can sign up at developmentcounts.com. And it comes out every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. And I know some of you are already subscribers. I appreciate that. And hopefully you can also apply this message to other areas of life. And of course, I'll be writing about more of those things in the future. Take care, everyone. Bye.